watching The Mist.
Fucking knock me out. Like, anything but this.
We are watching the movie that we watched before reading The Mist. Just sheer, like, doing the thing.
Before we start, do you have any, do you think it will be different now that because we watched it before as a way to kind of assess, we were trying so hard to not have to swap.
We were, yeah.
I didn't want to swap, you didn't want to swap, it was a whole thing. Do you have, now that we've read it, now that we did swap, we read it, we have traveled through, we've parted the mist and come out the other side, or did we?
You can never escape the mist.
No. Do you have any, what is your feeling at the beginning of it?
This movie is so fucking long, and when we rewatched it last time, well, when I rewatched it, you'd never seen it at that point.
I had...
When we watched it last time, I did not realize just how fucking long they spend in the grocery store, and I realized that's the bulk of the story, but I always just remembered them in the mist, driving around.
Sorry, it's not just us, it's the dogs, and they're gonna be a pain in the ass. So, apologies.
So I don't think it's gonna be any different other than just more annoying.
Yes, at least now we're prepared for it. Just, they only drive around for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just supermarket. But
there are a lot of people just in this movie. And just for context, The Mist was released in 2007. It was directed by Frank Darabont, who also had directed Shawshank.
I think
The Green Mile, one of them.
I think it was both. I think he had done both.
I'm just going to look it up. We'll play this safe.
I think that's why it was amazing. He had done both of them.
He had done the Shawshank Redemption in 94 and The Green Mile in 99. And then he did The Mist in 2007.
It should be illegal. The fact that he did 2 fucking masterpieces and then he did The Mist. I want to know what happened. I have questions for Frank Darabont. And most of them are just, what happened? Why? Why? Why, Frank Darabont? Just why, with different tones of voice, is most of my questions.
Okay, so we've got the Blu-ray from the library. We actually have we actually have the 2-disc collector's set from the library, which means it does include the black and white cut of this, which is apparently how Frank Darabont wanted to film this movie. He wanted to do a Night of the Living Dead thing.
Is that why? Is that the answer to why?
I think it might be some of the answer, because I think it's meant to be that kind of film. It's not what got released to theaters. I never heard of a theater getting the black and white edition of this.
Is that his version of a director's cut? Just maybe we just need to start watching all our movies in black and white. Maybe it would make a big difference.
I imagine it's that classic story of production got involved and decided, no, the studio really wants this to be a normal movie, and you need to put it in color because we have color. And if we're going to spend all this money on graphics to make these monsters...
Wasn't it also... The book was set in the 50s, wasn't it?
No, the book was set in the 80s.
I know the book was written in the 80s, but I could have swore the book was set in 1958 or something.
Nope, it is... I'm almost positive it's still set in 85 or something like that.
I'm interested. I need to know, because I think because I remember reading that and being oh, so Stephen King this is just his childhood. And I feel like that would make a big difference. Because if it's set in the 50s, that could also be what he wanted black and white because he wanted that feel.
Okay, after some searching, we at least know that it is the mid to late 70s that the mist is set in the book.
Which means I had just wanted to try to find a pass for Frank Darabont for this black and white bullshit. The 50s maybe, the 70s no. I can't help him.
I think it's just some idea of like trying to do like a classic horror.
Yeah.
Especially because like in black and white you can't see as much of the stuff even on the set.
Yeah.
Which means the audience might be more like, oh, that's creepy. Whereas when it's well lit, it's just kind of like, wow, these people all suck. I hope the monsters get them.
Yeah, and the movie just, so their fashion kind of looks that way, but very much in the way that was in style in 2007.
Yeah.
They didn't try hard.
I think he even pulls out like a cell phone instead of going to the payphone.
Yeah.
Because in the short story, he for sure goes to check the payphone. I think in this, he like pulls the phone out of his pocket and goes, oh, no reception. I guess all that's down too. And then like puts his phone away. I think to acknowledge, as well as like, he does check the phone and he intends to make a phone call.
I think there's little call-outs in the book that if you know more about those eras, you probably know exactly when it's set. Because there's something special about the payphone. It was like a...
Yeah.
Like a... It was almost like a call collect kind of payphone. I can't remember what it was. But there was something specific and special about the payphone. But to someone, you know, much later, to someone in the 2020s, it was almost identical. Like
Yeah, exactly.
You can't tell the difference.
He's got this little flip phone that he pulls out of his back pocket.
Yeah.
So, okay. We are just watching this on a disc. So when we hit play, we will be playing the movie. If you want to literally watch it along and listen to our ridiculous commentary, that would be the time to start your film. This used to be on Freevee, but that does have commercials. Because we have a disc, we will not be sitting through commercials. Alright. Are you good?
Yeah, should we do like a countdown for anybody who's watching with us?
Yeah, you do the count.
Okay, so we are gonna start the movie in 5, 4, 3, 2...
Oh, maybe the place... Okay, there it's going. Just really took its time to bring up that anti-piracy warning.
And also, as I mentioned before, we're watching with dogs. And as always, I have my mini sips and my mini snacks, which means the dogs are trying to get at my snacks. You'll probably hear much yelling. We want you to really have the experience of being in the home with us. Oh, fuck, that's right! He's drawing the fucking... I can't remember. I don't think it's the cover of Dark Tower 7, but I do think it's an important picture from Dark Tower 7. Oh my god. It's... Every time. I can't. So, I think it might be one of the full color images from one of the last chapters of Dark Tower 7. Which I because it's Roland.
Yeah.
And it's one of the only full body, not only, but it's one of the full body images of Roland. I don't care what's happening on the screen. I care about that image. It's wild to me. I can't stand it. I will say that I think was probably the moment for me where I was like, there's no... I know I've said a few different moments, but that was the moment. I'm like, they're telling us that they're connected. They're straight up informing us because he has all the art. He has all the art from the books. If you're familiar with the Dark Tower books at all, you know, like, Stephen King writes them the way that Chuck from Supernatural is Chuck. Which you also, if you know, you know. Oh god, and then it's the one that he's carrying out. Ugh. can you save it? And he's holding the painting of the Dark Tower, of Roland crossing the threshold to the Dark Tower. And she asks him flat out, can you save it? It's so, this is so connected.
That doesn't make it better.
You let me have what I need for this.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to anybody else. I was just pointing out, connected or not does not make it better. We don't begin with a picnic. We just go straight into the storm. We're not doing the weird, like, fucking chapter of them eating outside and talking about how hot it is and getting Pepsis.
Hey, guess what? I also got to start that way because my audiobook from the library didn't work, and it started straight at the big city lawyer guy, like, creeping on the wife's pregnancy titties.
They knew you didn't need this. And was she pregnant? Because I didn't get that vibe.
I thought she was. Is she not? Is she pregnant in the movie and not the book then? I just remember him creeping on her titties a lot.
He was, and I know that David was talking a lot about them, and I think he talks about when she was pregnant.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I don't know that she was actively pregnant at the time. Oh, look, there's that weird mist that just makes him so uneasy because it's such a clean line.
Yeah, but she doesn't understand how mist, because it comes off the lake, and that's not how mist works. I can't. Honey, I'm not the weatherman. I can't. Oh my god.
David is such trash.
I hate David. Oh, it's time for the neighbor. You know what? It should be enough to last anybody a lifetime because of who the neighbor is in the movie. Captain Holt! Oh my god. He just wants to be left alone with his husband and his dog Cheddar, the best dog in the world. That's right, better than you and better than you. He just wants to be left alone to have a nice vacation in his vacation home in upstate New York or Maine. They have to be in Maine. It's Stephen King. Maybe he's undercover. It's even a New York license plate. I think he's from New Jersey in the book. And they change it to New York because it's Captain Holt.
They also changed that car from a 1960s Thunderbird to a Mercedes.
Because that's the kind of car that Captain Holt would have. It has to be able to fit his husband and Cheddar. And am I saying his husband because I can't remember his husband's name right now? Maybe. Am I really, broke up about that fact? Yes. I feel like a really bad fan.
I've never seen, anybody who has, a regular mailbox, an old school mailbox in front of the yard, that actually had, their name on it.
Okay, I actually have. Okay. I've seen that a lot where I grew up. It's definitely, a small town.
Oh, I mean, Palermo's not exactly huge, because that's where I was thinking of. I was I've never even seen anybody out there do that.
But it's a cutesy farmer small town thing. It's not... Palermo is a different... Palermo is a very different vibe to, Orland.
Yeah.
Because it's also a money thing. It's
That's
when
true.
you think that you're, we're the everyman, but you own, land and a farm and shit. The beginning of this kind of makes me think of The Last of Us.
That's fair. Oh, yep. We got the flip phone. No signal. Oh, it looks like he's still going to try the payphone. But yeah, we don't get the book with a little flip phone.
That's an interesting way to, like, get him to the payphone, though. Oh my god, that car makes me think of my grandma so much, though, because she had, like, a Dynasty. That was the name of the car. It's called a Dynasty, and it was white with, like, maroon interior until well into the 90s.
On into the food house. It's the house where food lives.
Really appreciate the name of it. Like, if aliens landed, they would understand, like, oh, that's where we go, though.
They would have to understand English, though.
That poor girl who works at the grocery store, he's like, well, you know, Thursday night, we want to go on a date. Do you want to... I see that you're at your job. Do you want to go and do more job?
Well, there's Ollie. Ollie is the best character.
And the worst. You know what? I have mixed feelings about Mrs. Carmody.
You know, she lives by what she believes in.
She does practice what she preaches. And if we want to say justice for Annie Wilkes, justice for Mrs. Carmody? I don't know that she needs justice. She got her own justice. Look at all this product placement, dude.
I was just thinking that. Because they had the same kind of rice that we have right now.
Oh shit, do they?
Yeah, they did. They had some Mahatma rice.
Does it look the same? I'm like, speaking of rice.
But it may not have been the
so
jasmine.
Hot. The Castle Rock Times. I know Castle Rock is like a big thing.
Yeah, it's like the area where like the dead zone takes place, and I think Cujo.
So clearly we need to keep our eyes on that shit.
3 army dudes who literally do way more in this movie than they ever did in the book, and there's 1 extra of them.
They die so much sooner in the book.
Yeah. And they fly so much further under the radar.
Lions in this. They have to, because David is a better dude in this, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he still sucks, but he just, like, thinks about having sex with what's-her-face.
Oh, and now we got the military police, who also...
even more...
didn't exist.
Army. Oh, hey, that chick. Is that Mrs. Ruppler?
That is Mrs. Ruppler.
Yes, Mrs. Ruppler.
Even before shit goes down, him and Amanda are making eyes at each other.
Yeah, they're bad people.
They're such bad people.
Why is that kid already worried about his mom?
What you doing, Sal?
He's a baby.
I feel like they expect you to have read the book coming into this. I didn't notice any of that shit the first time. I know everybody loves all this ASMR I make for them.
God, that siren.
I love that it's called a klaxon. That shit sounds alien. When did we name that?
I don't know. All I can think is there's a tornado, we gotta get down to the cellar. Twister's a great movie.
Because you're from Tornado. Oh, I thought it was because you're from where tornadoes are born.
That too, but I'm just like tossing it out there, like if you want to watch a better movie. And I don't necessarily think Twister is some masterpiece. I just think it's better than this.
I do want to watch a better movie, and I agree, because Twister's amazing. Of course, I also want to watch Titanic, which is also an amazing movie. I want this guy to be Eugene Levy so bad, and he's not, and he'll never be. Oh, so I finally figured out King's Pharmacy, like why that's bothered me so much. First of all, I'm pretty sure in this it's named King's Pharmacy because of Stephen King.
Yeah.
But when I used to work for that gift card place, the call center, there's a string of places called like King's Supers. Mm-hmm. And Supers is like SOOPER. That's what it makes me think of. Like it's like a grocery store, I think. And I think it's in like the Midwest or possibly the East Coast or something. It's where this should be.
Just Carmen immediately going, it's death. That's just what's happening.
Why would she think or know that?
Right?
Does she just think that all day, every day, and this time she was right? Like, if you guess the same thing enough time, you know what? It's like our friend today who was like, when I play the lottery, I always get 0 numbers. She's right. That is wild. Because if you guess the same numbers enough times, you really should get 1 or 2.
What's also interesting about Mrs. Carmody is that, like, in the book, they make such a constant reference to the fact that she's dressed in yellow. I think David even says something like she could advertise yellow because she's head to toe in yellow. She's not wearing, like, any fucking yellow here.
She did seem like she was wearing yellow when she first walked in because the beige and stuff, and I wonder if they had her lit in such a way that it appeared yellow when she first came in. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I was thinking the same thing. Oh, this chick. She doesn't get a name. She's just a woman with children. They need to listen to Captain Holt. He knows what he's talking about.
I want to know what happened to that dude, the dude who came running in from the mist, that the particular place where he is fucked up is that he has like a massive nosebleed. Like, did he stress himself out so much that he just got that? Or did he fall and only part of his nose managed to bleed with no bruising? What happened? Is he even really a person?
Right?
Is he something of the mist?
Or did he just trip and hit, like, because he was running so fast?
No, and that's what I'm saying. But he has, like, no visible damage other than the blood streams down his face. Makeup fucked up.
So I'm distracted because I'm really watching this one who's just credited as woman with kids, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that all of her hair is cut off this way, are they trying to get across that, like, is she a cancer survivor? Does she just cut it this way? Like, why is she bald this way?
Especially in, like, 2007.
Exactly. So when I was reading this and I had misunderstood and thought for some reason that it was set in the 1950s, this whole thing of like, well, my daughter's watching my son made more sense. Oh, and look, she's got that 4-leaf clover necklace, which is interesting with how this ends. But, so that made more sense. And even with this being probably the late 70s, or I have a feeling he wrote it in 1980. It's probably meant to be 1980 with what you were able to find with when it probably does take place. And then this being 2007 as well. Like, maybe 1980, that also makes sense. But by 2007, there really was a lot out there of like, don't leave your kid with your 8-year-old. 8 years old is not old enough. But is it that she's a single mom who's a cancer? So, like, what is her story?
She is a woman and she has kids.
Oh my gosh. Rocket. We just almost had a dog take a header off a chair, so...
The Jiffy boxes have never changed. Also, like, regardless of the stuff that kind of occurred around here, I don't feel like any of the, like, signs point to the damage being this severe for this grocery store where everything is this toppled, but not toppled enough.
From what? Like, would it...
Yeah.
Is it from the storm, or is it from people running through? Like, that's what I would think, is just people fucking touching. You know what, though? I have seen some stores pretty destroyed just from people touching stuff.
That's fair, because it does look very just, like, human.
What does the child need aspirin for?
Oh, it was a nosebleed that the dude had. He had 3 streams of his nosebleed. Stress.
Yeah. Someone had to give him a Valium. This movie is very free with, like, prescriptions everywhere. 2007 seems about right for that shit.
Into the back of the store we go.
So I don't understand why they didn't bring more people into the back with them to, like, find stuff.
Right? Yeah, no.
Or why David is the only one who notices that there's a problem with the generator.
Well, because he was only going back there for furniture pads and shit.
And that's what I also don't understand. Why did he need furniture pads? There's other stuff in the store to use. Like,
it was a convenient plot device.
It's just not. Like, doesn't make sense. What would have made more sense is if someone had noticed there's a odd smell coming from the back of the store.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm just enjoying watching David fumble through the dark and get hurt. You deserve so much worse, sir.
The only thing that I like about Amanda is that it's Crimson Countess. The best part of this movie is the stuff that these other people have been in. Or that these people have... the other stuff that the people have been in. I don't know what else David has been in. I think David is just David.
Let's see. Oh god, remember having to use your fucking phone as a light by turning it outward?
Oh my god.
Because you didn't have a flashlight, you just had the screen.
And then when they came with flash for the picture and it, like, before you could just turn it on, and then there started to be apps for flashlights. Yeah. I still remember my first phone that came with a flashlight built in, and I was so, like, dazzled by it.
David's been in a lot of things. David is played by a guy named Thomas Jane, and we will recognize him because he was in Deep Blue Sea.
Have I seen that?
Yeah, we watched it with the Mako Sharks.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was the douchebag.
I was very disappointed by the Meg 2. Speaking of sharks.
He's uncredited in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He plays the vegan police.
You sound so confused. You need to watch Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I don't think you would have liked it many years ago. I think that you would really enjoy it now.
That's right. Fucking Norm going, I can do it. I'm 18. But I'm 18. I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, dude, if you were an adult, you'd know you don't want to go out there. You certainly wouldn't volunteer. You'd try and find a young moron to do it instead.
That's why those old guys are goading you into it, dude.
Yeah, you go be young and strong and brave, and we'll be sure to tell the checkout girl about you so that you have a chance against military dude.
Jim still looks so much like my grandpa.
Fair.
Kind of acts a little bit like my grandpa did. I think it's the lack of lips.
Kid, I'm gonna start the motor, you raise the door, and you yell out when you got enough room. Yeah. Okay, good. Wait! You guys gonna let this kid risk his life over a generator that doesn't even matter? Would you just shut the fuck up, alarm?
Let me do this, David.
I tell you what, the next time you got something to say, you count your teeth. Because I'm sick to death of doing
You count your teeth?
I guess because it would make you stay quiet because you have to use your tongue. We are counting our teeth, by the way.
Okay, but if you don't have that many teeth, you can do that pretty quick. Don't do this, Norm. I know that Norm does this. It's one of those things in movies where you're like, don't. Like, I wish this was gonna be different. You know what? I actually kind of agree with David. That is a really weird line on The Mist. Just waiting outside the door.
And yet, it doesn't really fill this room.
Does that mean The Mist is, like, sentient?
Maybe.
Is that something that we missed? Oh my god. Absolutely no pun intended. I hate Jim and Myron. I know you're meant to hate Jim and Myron, but I actually think I hate them in a special way.
I do think it's interesting that they flipped them from the book and made it, like, Jim, the one who becomes, like, crazy devout instead of Myron. And Jim, like, comes around to it, but, like, that was such a weird choice.
Do you think it's because of Myron's name? They didn't think, like, audiences would connect as easily, and Jim's name is quite easy for people?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but particularly an international audience, Jim is a lot easier. Myron is kind of a harder, like, weirder name.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you don't speak English, Jim is a lot easier to kind of...
Yeah, because
like,
honestly, like, making that choice does make Jim a more, like, centralized character rather than splitting the plot between the two of them.
Yeah.
Jim does all the things.
Oh, for sure, because I barely remembered that Myron was in this movie, and I didn't remember that they had swapped them in the book. Because the person doing all that stuff, because we'd watched the movie, I just thought was Jim. So my brain just didn't even...
Yeah.
Didn't even care. Just ghosted right over it. But if you're watching it in subtitles or something and you're trying to follow it, that person being Jim, I feel like, will just be a lot. I can't see this without thinking of The Boys. And I think that you just know what I'm talking about immediately.
We're at the tentacle coming in and getting some dog food and like eating the packaging but not the dog food.
That is not the tentacle. I believe he goes by the name Love Sausage now. You know, I think so, and I talked about this in the episode. I talked about this in like the next episode, and I'm gonna say it now too. They're kind of going for fear, and like I think that whole ripping open the dog food and then eating the packaging and not the dog food is another element of trying to freak them out. Because the tentacle too, like, so the tentacle having kind of a love sausage look to it, but then opening and having the opposite parts also inside, right? Makes it look as freaky as possible because it has like the teeth in it.
Yeah.
So we have like vagina dentata, which I imagine is probably something that is very scary to Norm. So say it can reach into your head and pull out what's going to freak you out the most, like it. Which, because it's not like you say anything out loud to the fucking clown. The clown just kind of pulls it out of your head, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that this mist functions similarly to that. Like, Norm is an 18-year-old kid. What's gonna be the scariest shit that could happen to him right then?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I sure do hope those tentacles aren't about to, like, be tentacle monsters. And what else would be really creepy that those tentacles could do right now? The opposite of anything that you'd expect them to do. Rip open the dog food, then eat the packaging instead. Like, what would some 18-year-old asshole say around a campfire?
Yeah.
And it was a penis, and it was a vagina, and it had teeth all around it. And it took the dog food, but it ate the packaging. Like, he's a fucking moron. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that comes up is stuff that it almost like pulls what would be freaky to a specific person.
Mm-hmm.
And then does. It like creates. And then it's feeding off the fear, maybe. Like we were just something. There was something. Oh, it was a podcast I was listening to that was talking about, like, the reptilians are reptilian overlords. The whole point of them is that they feed off of bad vibes. They eat bad vibes. And I think it's the same concept. They feed off the bad vibes. So they create the bad vibes. What would be the worst thing to happen for these people? The generator gets a fucking thing shoved in the tailpipe, so now they have no power. Which also, like, forces them to go outside slowly. Mm-hmm. Which is really smart. But they'd have to pull that knowledge from someone. Like, why the fuck would a mutant tentacle monster, like, have any idea that that would work? Well, I feel like the mutant tentacle monster would know that because the people at the pharmacy were probably going to make a run for the supermarket because the supermarket had a generator. And maybe the pharmacy. Like, you'd assume the pharmacy would have to have one because it has the fridge.
Yeah.
But maybe theirs stopped working, or maybe they were running out of gas, or who knows. And, like, the monster ate somebody and ate its vibes, and they, like, had that knowledge. I don't know. We'll get there. Maybe there will be more information, but And here he's pulling out clothes, which means the furniture pads were completely unnecessary. And he has to change in the middle of the store. Like, because we needed to see his hairy chest. I do like that they're just drinking. Nobody wants a yoo-hoo right now. I feel like after that kind of experience, I'd want like a yoo-hoo. I'm like, no, you give me a chocolate cake. I need to stress eat about this.
But yeah, this entire plan was stupid. Let's only tell, like, this one guy. Let's not tell everybody. But we're going to try and keep this under wraps. And I understand not wanting to create, like, mass hysteria. We know that doesn't exactly work for people. But, you know, more than, like, one dude is a good idea.
Here's my question. They had generators running, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that their closed circuit cameras should have been going. So when because he's about to freak out, we know this.
Yeah.
They could have turned the generator on long enough to show him the footage.
Or, I mean, it could be like that shitty theater I worked in that put up fake cameras to give the illusion that they were watching you, but, like, straight up, they weren't real cameras.
That's fair.
In fact, I'm pretty positive I saw this movie while I was working for that theater because I got to see movies for free. I got tickets for me and one person to a movie. As long as it wasn't one of the, like, new releases. At least on, like, a busy night. Like, I could see new releases on, like, a Wednesday at 1 like p.m. when no one was there.
I feel like a lot of theaters do that for people who work there.
Yeah. It's an easy perk, 'cause, like, it literally is nothing to them. As long as one ticket is sold, they're running that movie regardless.
And now, like, going to the theaters is not all that fun for you.
No.
I still love it, though. Send me tickets. Don't send cat tickets, but send me lots of tickets. It's one of my favorite things to do.
To be fair, some of that's also just, like, there haven't been movies that I really like to sit and watch that deserve all of my attention. Because I didn't like seeing movies that much then, either. I generally went because it was, like, taking my dad or something.
I know. I love it. I don't care usually what movie it is, I just enjoy doing it as an activity.
Yeah. Because there are 100% movies I'm like, yeah, I want to go see that. Or, like, when they do, like, the retro movies release in a theater for, like, a night. Love doing that, too.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm not here for, oh, man, that movie looks mediocre. Let me pay a small fortune to sit there and do nothing else but that and give it my full attention in the dark with strangers, possibly ones that are being annoying.
I'd go to the movies once a week if I could. But it feels different because a lot of times you can find movies that aren't super full and it's so loud and so bright in theaters now that if you sit far enough on the side and it's not super full, you can kind of play on your phone now. You just have to not be loud and obnoxious about it.
You also need to sit far enough back.
That's why I'm saying you have to make sure it's not going to bother anybody. But honest to God, like, if you turn the brightness down on your phone, and it's a bright enough, loud enough theater, and you're not near anybody, it's not going to bother anybody. If you're just, like, fucking playing, like, fucking, I don't know, Candy Crush. Like, that's not what I'm usually playing on my phone, but, like, I can't think of what, like, just whatever game you're playing. One of my adventure escape games. Because I do not have an attention span. This is hard enough, just sitting and snacking and talking. Like, I need to be doing 20 things at once.
It does feel like at least this is going a little faster than last time.
Knowing what's coming really helps.
It does, because, like, we're totally not really watching David very slowly tell the entire store what he saw in the back room dramatically.
We're not waiting for it to get good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you're not waiting for them to finally get out and start driving around in the mist.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm not waiting for Captain Holt to become the hero.
Oh, and now they all just think they're crazy. What a shocker. How dramatic. I feel like that's so unbelievable, too, because in the book, it says that there's like 80-ish people or something like that in this store. One of those fuckers believed him wholeheartedly and would have been like, oh my god, I gotta see this, man. My theories are true.
Right?
And is like running into the back room.
Mrs. Carmody would be the one. This is wild to me. This is what I don't understand. Like, they poke it, it flops around, and then this.
It becomes nothing but goo. It sustained everything but a final poke.
Yeah, this I feel like supports my theory. That is because, did you notice it kind of turned into mist?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before because you think it's like frying. I don't think it did. I think it'd be, you saw with your eyes. My theories are true. Like,
some of the shots of this, and I have a feeling it's just because we're on a very HD TV now, and this was from 2007. Some of the shots of this make me think of the cinematography in, like, Doctor Who.
oh my god,
Because it just looks so set-like. It's like, oh, I'm very clearly on a set. I know I'm on a set.
Dude, that tentacle was very Doctor Who. Like, oh my
Yes.
god, Doctor Who is coming back. It's 10th Doctor and Donna Noble. I really enjoy this Blair Witch-esque up her nostril shot of Mrs. Carmody. It's also very reminiscent of Mandy Moore crying and praying in Saved.
You know, I do think it's interesting that she went and she found herself a private place to have a conversation with God. And she's just like, some people can be saved, right? They don't make her like that in the book, I don't feel like. She doesn't come across as, like, having any concern for anyone else, honestly, as much as she has concern for people hearing her preach. And she does all of her shit in public, whereas in this, she's very much hiding away. At least to start. She eventually, gets out into the public.
That's interesting too. That like, well, I will have counted. I will have earned my place at your side and have pulled my weight. That's another thing that I feel like really leans into that idea. The fact that Stephen King was working with Frank Darabont for this.
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe if Amanda had not, like, offered unsolicited advice about being scared,
yeah.
she would not have, like, started a war with Mrs. Carmody, at least in this movie.
You know what? I'm really starting to get on Mrs. Carmody's side here. Because she's just honest.
Yeah, she is.
She doesn't pretend like she likes people she doesn't like. She's just upfront. I liked her, don't condescend to me. Amanda was being kind of condescending.
Was. She's like, oh, you were in here praying? And, like, I'm not a Christian by any means.
That doesn't mean in this situation there isn't people I wouldn't pray to.
But, well, it doesn't matter. It's not my business if you're praying or if Mrs. Carmody... Like, let people fucking pray. It's fine. If that's how she needs to process the situation, she's allowed to.
I have an issue with her being like, well, if I could just save one person, because you know she doesn't mean physically save.
Yeah.
She means save a soul.
Yeah.
But if there are people who could be saved, you know, who want that, that's their business and that's her business.
Yeah. And she wasn't shoving it in people's faces at this time. She went into the bathroom by herself.
Yep.
She stopped the second she heard that door open.
Yep.
And she did not continue to do it in front of Amanda. Amanda just decided to, like, go, hey, you know, it's okay to be scared.
Because Amanda supposedly had to go to the bathroom, and apparently they didn't have another bathroom. But Amanda didn't even knock.
No.
It was super rude. And so one of the things, even back when I was Christian, the Bible has a whole passage about, like, when you pray, like, do it in a closet. You should be, you know, when you do your charity, do it anonymously. When you pray, do it in a closet. Like, don't wear your shit on your sleeve. And that's what she was doing.
Yep.
I might not agree with the shit she was saying, but it's her business and it was between her and her God. Good for Mrs. Carmody. And then Amanda decided to stick her fucking nose where it didn't belong. And she has set off a whole fucking chain of events.
Because now Mrs. Carmody's preaching in front of the... Well, not preaching as much as she's like, you know, the Bible says this.
Why is Jim, like, making a point of my size 10 work boot? Like, dude, do you think that's... I realize it's a women's size 10, but I wear a size 10. I know women who wear a men's size 10. Like AFAB people. Why are you... You know what, though? We shouldn't give people shit. Like, we shouldn't body shame. Clearly, he's proud of his men's size 10.
Well, and if you're going to shove your boot up anybody's ass, it's going to be uncomfortable, and it gets more uncomfortable the bigger it gets.
Unless you're size queen. He doesn't know what she's into.
He doesn't know what she's into.
Maybe he's trying to make her prepared so she can give informed consent. My boot is a size 10. If you continue doing what you're doing, I'm going to take that as in, like, informed, enthusiastic consent. Now is your chance, like, to withdraw your informed, enthusiastic consent. My work boot that I'm going to use for this act is a size 10, so you're aware. And she continued doing what she was doing, so... And here we have another reference to Abraham and Isaac. Stephen King is a thing.
That slap was like, I don't know. I don't feel like that would have made her bleed.
That doesn't make it okay to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but her perspective is too Old Testament, so I turned to violence.
Army dudes conspiring.
Man, this experiment isn't going very well. God, I love Ollie, though. I don't know why, but that motorcycle guy makes me think of your mom's husband.
Something to do?
Something about him.
They got tanks and stuff, right?
Billy goes and talks to the military dudes who did not have this big of a part.
I still, like, oh. The first time we watched this, I hated it. The second time we're watching this, I hate it more. That the military guys have to be asked to go and help. It's really strange to me.
Well, I mean, since at least in this they were supposed to be going on their leave, they're tired. I don't know. Clearly, we don't know what the Arrowhead Project has had these poor dudes up to.
Dumb shit, clearly. Oh my god. I can't tell if he means this isn't Los Angeles. Like, I don't think he means this isn't Los Angeles. We're not, and I hesitate to use this term, we're not libtards. Of course we would have guns around. Clearly, though, they don't have guns around. So maybe he means this isn't Los Angeles. We're not dangerous like that, so we don't keep guns around?
I think so. Bud not believing in Ollie's shooting skills.
Oh, well, Ollie mentions him being the state champion of shooting. Target shooting, I think specifically. For some reason, my brain kept saying skeet shooting, but it couldn't have been.
Yeah.
It's target shooting. He doesn't mention. I think because my dad did skeet shooting, so it was like, oh, that must be, no. Target shooting in 94, so this must be post 94.
I think this is, like, meant to be 2007, at least as far as the movie goes.
I think you're right.
Maybe he picked 94 because of Shawshank Redemption coming out in 94, like the movie that Darabont did.
Oh, that would be interesting. What's also been interesting is this movie's nearly 20 years old now. It's, 16 years old? And how many of the brands have not changed? Like,
That's
the
what I was
logos,
saying about the Jiffy
anything.
boxes. They were identical
Jiffy
even
is
before
different.
this.
Yeah, Jiffy, that's fine. But I was looking at, like, the L'Oreal, like, Evive or whatever behind them. That's something that you expect to change, like, every couple of years. What the Oh, yeah, the motorcycle guy.
That's a knife.
My God. I can't because we've been watching that streamer who's got that was a weird slow smile and a weird like close up of Captain Holt, and I can't handle it.
It's called acting.
I'm pretty sure that's also what he would say. The character Captain Holt. I don't know anything about this character.
I believe in a loving God.
God, Mrs. Carmody is just pretty cool. Look, and now her cardigan looks green. And it can't be different. None of them have changed. But I think it's the way that they're lighting her. She gets like different colors. But I really like this motorcycle guy. I think part of it too, the reason that he seems familiar is like there's like 4,000 of this dude in Reno. He's like every third dude that you meet in Reno is this motorcycle guy.
They're running that line out.
And now it's slack for some reason.
Ollie is confused why he's not continuing to feed it. And it's been picked up.
It's like they used him as bait. It's like they're fishing for monsters.
Let go! God, that's gotta hurt so bad. And only David gets something to stop the hurt. There's a bunch of other people behind him also supposedly holding this line.
You know what's crazy about that too? So, and then Ollie uses his apron.
Yeah.
I think because the book is in first person, which is unusual, I feel like, for Stephen King, but maybe we just haven't. I mean, it is possible we haven't read enough Stephen King yet, and there's lots of Stephen King that's in first person, but unusual so far.
Though supposedly none that was actually printed. Well, no book. There were short stories. No books printed in the year we were born.
Really?
Yeah, because like someone on Reddit had posted like what novel came out the year you were born. I looked it up. No Stephen King novel came out the year we were born. Just short stories.
Maybe we are the novels that came out the year that we were born.
Should we be concerned then?
Proud, I think. Oh my god.
Now they got a bloody rope coming back.
I realized the bloody rope is actually from the dead people, but I thought it was from his hands at first, and that seemed so much worse.
What I don't understand is how the blood gets so far up. Because it's still tied around the dude's waist, the half of him that comes back. So it's not even like it struck. Like, how did the blood get this far up the rope?
On purpose, because it's trying to create the most fear possible. I'm telling you, like, that's why it went slack. It went slack when he died, and then the monster pulled however much it could, and dipped the rope in the blood, and then it pulled it slack to like, or actually no, it was when it was pulling as much rope as possible. When it was burning, when it went slack, the monster was killing the dude, and then it pulled a bunch of rope and literally dipped it in fucking blood, and then they got rope back. I'm telling you, it's on purpose. Like, and I realize you were not probably being serious. You were trying to make it funny, but it's not funny. This is life and death, and I have a fucking theory that I'm trying to prove here. Oh, they had to make. You know what? I also think they weren't just trying to make David better by switching out the sex scene for this weird scene here with the army guy who didn't exist before. I think also they wanted it to be younger people.
Possibly, yeah.
Because Amanda and David are old. Especially in 2007, they would have been considered old. She's young enough to babysit for Amanda and David.
Well, and it's very clear they just graduated high school within the last year or two.
Do you think that dude's chin is real?
No idea.
He's wearing so much makeup. He looks like he should be in a Twilight movie.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they picked him up for the American Being Human.
Yeah, maybe.
Watch the UK version, it's way better. Aidan Turner's a much better vampire than this dude.
I think that's why they named the character Aiden. Like, I realized they were also they wanted to do an homage, and Aiden is such a popular name now.
Yeah.
I look at the Arrowhead patch, dude. Like, I mean, also, if you want to watch the romance, enjoy it, but it's such a good shot of the patch, and I feel like that's important, too. Like, the radio waves, and then the...
Are those radio waves? Because I thought they were lightning bolts.
No, the lightning bolts are on the side, which, by the way, kind of look like SS marks, which I think is important. But I meant inside of the arrowhead is like a radio wave.
Yeah. This guy who wants to, like, watch while he eats his chicken. And then this scene always makes me think of fucking A Bug's Life with the bugs hitting the window. Like locusts descending. We have to feed the grasshoppers.
God, that dinner looks delicious, though.
It does, yeah, I know that.
Why is it better than most of the dinners that we have?
It's not our last meal.
They're also in a supermarket. They have everything at their disposal.
And a fancy grill. Because we could never roast a chicken like a grocery store roasts a chicken.
I don't think I can watch this part again, dude.
Great time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, if you were like me and have extreme insectophobia, please feel free to nope out of this part. Can we post, like, the time stamps of, like, when the insectophobia part begins, which is, like, now, and then when it ends? Would that be difficult?
It's not the easiest thing in the world.
Use your best judgment.
You know what? I mean, I post trigger warnings on all of the things as it is. We'll just say, like, maybe this is not one to watch if you have that problem.
Yeah, probably not.
It may not be, like, the best movie for you.
There's a lot of, there's just a lot of phobias in this one. But I don't think I can make it through that lady and how she dies and stuff again, like...
They're attracted to the light.
And the communication here was so bad. So bad of just like, douse the lights, turn on the lights.
Yeah, I do want to point out, like, apparently they're attracted to the light.
As are all bugs.
But why is Jim turning the light back on then?
Because he doesn't know. That's why I'm saying the communication was trash. They didn't yell it to the back of the store. They had set Jim and Myron to work on the lights, and so Jim and Myron are doing what they think they're supposed to do. And then David realizes, he goes, oh, douse the light. But he's not yelling it to the back of the store. He's yelling it to the window. And so they can't hear over all the fucking people screaming. Because this was just stupid. This was stupid. All of this was stupid. And poorly thought out.
Ugh. I'm trying to tough it out. I'm trying to make it, because I feel like it's important to see.
You're gonna be fine. I didn't get to bang you yet.
Maybe he should be trying to, like, push the shit out instead of just holding her and yelling at her to breathe.
Yeah, all he knows what he's doing, Amanda. Leave him alone. You don't, bitch.
How did they already get the window, like, taped like that?
They had done it at the beginning before they even, like, were setting up, like, the dog food. They were, like, sealing things up.
Had it already been broken?
I think it had from when there was, like, a weird, like, shake from the things stepping around. Supposedly there had been a crack, and so they were sealing it up.
Okay. They do seem attracted to the lights, but they're chasing each other. Like,
yeah.
The monsters are chasing other monsters. They, like, don't care really about the humans. Oh.
Yeah, now it's just about, like, oh, hey, other things to eat.
Interesting. He's just not helping her at all. But that is such an interesting, like... Oh my god, that's awful. I can't.
I have to say, this is kind of just like how I feel a bunch of people just kind of stuck together would end up dealing with this problem.
Yeah,
They
no.
make it so much worse.
For real, like, humans are trash. Humans are the worst.
This is why the Greek gods didn't want us to have fire. We didn't know what to do with it.
It's what, Prometheus who constantly gets his liver eaten for that shit?
I believe so.
Prometheus, you deserve it. You deserve your liver eaten out.
Look what we did with it.
You should have just left us monkeys in the fucking forest. We'd have been happier. Okay, this is strange to me. When Mrs. Carmody doesn't get... because she just freezes?
Yeah.
Now, this is what I do if a bee lands on me. I freeze. And usually I don't get stung. There's also a whole thing where, like... So, they have found that certain blood types get bit by mosquitoes and shit more because they're like more like attractant to certain bugs like that, to like bugs that drink your blood.
Yeah.
But that bug had already landed on her. What is it, do you think?
Well, I mean, if we do go with your fear idea, I know the book mentions, like, they smell fear, and that was also the thing that they were mentioning in the Slow Mutants chapter. Roland mentions them being able to smell something, and he assumes fear. So, she had no fear because she was ready to go to God. She told it, let your will be done. You go, Ollie.
So when I'm saying like they feed off of fear, it's like the same as It. Because you'll notice like the clown in It a lot of times it doesn't go for like kill shots, like it eats Georgie's arm and stuff. It drives up pain and fear.
Yeah.
But in this case, these monsters definitely seem to be eating them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it seems like there is something in the mist that might. I can't tell. I can't tell if in this scene, if it's shit that has come through whatever portal with the mist. Like, if these bugs exist. If, like, the bugs and birds exist, but, like, the tentacle monster is part of... I don't know. But is it also a thing of like they smell? So what was weird to me was where it landed. It like landed on her
Womb.
Yes. And one of the first ones that gets landed on in this, or not landed on, but gets stung, even though she gets stung so far up, almost like her thyroid or something, or a pituitary gland. I'm not sure where those are, but I think you probably have them up there, is the one who just had the kissy scene with the military man who's not in the books, right? Sally. Yeah. That's her name, Sally. And then you have Mrs. Carmody, who it lands on her womb. But I think it's safe to bet that Mrs. Carmody is meant to, like, the actress is certainly not menopause age, but I think the character is meant to be, like, older. And then it, like, crawls up, almost like smelling her as she's, paused, or, like, going, still. and then flies off. Because like you said, there's something that it smells that isn't there. But Sally, it like, pooh, goes straight for. And it doesn't look like anybody else really gets stung that way. People get eaten.
Yeah.
But they don't eat Sally. They sting Sally in the neck. We don't see what happens over the next few days. But the first time we watched this, I legitimately thought she was going to have like babies out of that shit in her neck. Because why does it swell up like that? Why does it give her like gout or whatever? Or like a goiter in her fucking neck? Why does that happen that way?
Foreign toxins.
Do you think that could be, like, do you think that could have anything to do with it? Because I think I'm the most right with the idea that it's fear. But I think that there could be, like, I think multiple things could be right. That poor... I think they've got, like, wet paper towels on him, which probably is making it worse.
Yeah.
They should just let him fucking...
He's willing to do it himself, too.
Yeah, burns are supposed to be the most painful wound. Like, this was the only other thing that I thought about getting up and leaving for, is when the dude's begging to fucking die, and then they don't let him.
And that's also an interesting change, because, like, in the book, the guy who catches on fire just dies. He doesn't make it. Instead, we have an older woman who is trampled and suffering in the back room because she is so injured from being trampled.
This kills me too, because I don't know what that chick killed herself with, but if whatever pills she had was strong enough to kill her, and somebody has Valium, and they're not giving all of that to the burn guy, like, fuck that chick. Any other moment that chick had wanted to commit suicide in, go for it. I'm gonna fuck what you do. You have anything that could have killed you, if it could have relieved or even just knocked the burn guy out, you fucking wait for your suicide until burn kid is taken care of. Then you die. You give him what you have. I don't know what the fuck she took. Oxyphene, what, I don't think it's real.
Yeah.
But I think the implication is supposed to be that it's similar to whatever it was they had on hand. You fucking... Suicide is always a selfish... It's a self-centered action. It's not about other people. That's too far. That's too much. Fuck you. There's nothing you can do about it now because she's dead. But I wish I could kick her. I wish I could just be kicking her in the fucking kidneys. They should have thrown her body out to be fucking eaten by monsters. Because she's the worst of all of them. Of everybody, Mrs. Carmody, all of them. She is the worst character. She is the worst person here. Because somebody's suffering so badly, he's begging to die, and she took everything that she had so she could die instead. Because why? Because scared. Fuck her. I have feelings, I'm sorry. I don't think that happens in the book.
No, she's one of the people who runs for the car in the book.
Yeah.
And she ends up getting killed out in the parking lot, but
yeah,
she is one of the people that actually is trying to leave. She's the one who's married to a guy named Alan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was no reason. There was no reason to make another female character absolutely terrible. But we couldn't have competition for David's dick. One cool chick, and that's all we're allowed to have.
God, Amanda, you're so fucking stupid.
You know, that's what's wild to me too, though. They just assume, and Kool-Aid is wrong, it was Flavor Aid. But they just assume that she's gonna go Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Why? She has everything she needs.
Yep.
In these people. Why would she go Jim? Like, what would benefit her from going Jim Jones?
Yeah. Amanda, literally, I just started thinking because of her being like the only woman in this scene. Of she's like, all my friends are guys. I don't really relate to women, especially because she gets so combative with Mrs. Carmody. And she doesn't talk to any of the other women. The only one she used to talk to is dead now.
She's such a hardcore pick-me. And I don't think she was in the book.
No, she was a lot more just like...
Yeah.
Like a person.
Yeah. This is 2007 bullshit.
And she didn't, like, insert herself into all of the things. And obviously, I imagine, like, they wanted to try and create some level of love story, because that's just what entertainment media does. And there is, in fact, you know, the adultery that does take place. But since, you know, they wanted to up that ante in such a way.
Big Bill gives me, like, hard Jake vibes. But, like, tiny Jake vibes. And yet again, there's only 5 names in Stephen King. And has it felt like this movie is slowed down?
It's because that fucking bug scene is so stupid. Like, it's not a good scene.
No.
No part of it is, like, quality.
Only my boy's sake? Not for you, Amanda? I really don't like
Are you so anxious to meet your boy in order?
any of this. They made that guy with the burns wait until fucking morning. Like, he's still waiting for help. It is full day now. Do you notice that everybody who starts following Mrs. Carmody, though, starts doing that thing where they're holding, like, their shawls around themselves? I don't understand that. Like, it's like, no, this is part of our religion. Part of our religion is holding blankets around ourselves.
It is to mimic the hug of God. Yay, Mrs. Repler. Doing the God's work.
You know what? I hated it when Amanda just walked up and smacked her. God, but Mrs. Repler just makes it amazing. She makes a good point. Stoning people's in the Bible.
And the military dudes had to be prompted for one of them to go. The one that isn't in the book.
Well, he's sad and he has to make up for his girlfriend dying.
He has to also justify the existence of his character. Because these dudes are, like, not in the story enough for any of these things.
I think in the book they were already dead.
Yeah, I think they might have been too. They disappear for the longest time. People realize, oh, we haven't seen them in a bit, and then they already find them dead. Like, they do not... They have no role in the story other than to create the context and make the conversations about the military base and the shenanigans they get up to. Instead of Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk, Billy's gonna get Hellboy. Mrs. Carmody like that.
It's a great choice, but he could have grabbed more than just one. So they at least grab actual medication. I don't think hydrochloride is an actual anything. Vicodin and OxyContin, those are accurate. Penicillin is accurate, though they're kind of screwed if anybody's allergic.
These guys are not pharmacists or pharmacy techs. They actually probably have no idea that's a thing. Because we know David's a moron.
Oh my god. These are the things I'd have to worry about if the fucking world ended.
And David's running around with an axe.
Like, I've actually thought to myself, if there was a zombie apocalypse, the very first place I probably should go is a fucking pharmacy and clear it out. And then I'll worry about going and getting guns. Because legitimately, I'm so screwed. I'm not making it. Oh, the MP is back. Oh no, okay, I made it through the bugs. I'm not making it through the spiders again.
Okay.
I will be right back, everybody. I love you. Trigger warning for spiders. Take care of yourself if you also, like, a fucking legitimate arachnophobia. I hate it. It is all your fault.
To live through that had to be very unpleasant. Because, like, obviously he eventually dies, but he had to straight up live through so much before they died. And oh goodness, look at them graphics. The, like, acid webbing. So you know what's interesting about the acid webbing is, like, and David is using an axe, is that he had tried to kill Sasha with that super, like, venomous spider in The Eyes of the Dragon as Flag. I feel you, Jim. Yeah, that is pretty horrifying. I do appreciate that Ollie was, like, trying to stamp a few of them out as he's running past. That's, you know, doing a solid. And Mrs. Reveler coming in clutch with the torch and bug spray. Because if one won't fucking kill it, fire might. Fire kills just about everything else in a Stephen King universe. That pharmacy had, like, a little, like, coffee shop. That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that the first time. And they come in and freak people out way more with their panic. And here's where we get the divide where Myron ends up actually staying with the non-believers, I guess, as best as we can call them. Because he's still hanging out over by David's group. And Joe is now dead. Because he died while David was sleeping. Because they wouldn't just let him take care of it.
Is it safe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they're to Mrs. Carmody being the big bad now.
Fantastic!
Myron is chilling with these guys. Well, they haven't showed it yet, but I know Jim's over in the other group with Mrs. Carmody.
It is going faster than I remembered it.
Yeah. he's a believer now after what he saw in that pharmacy.
Something about expiation makes me think of like expediting. And I just want Gordon Ramsay to show up. Not Eugene Levy makes a really good point. Man, even Busy Bones are really similar to how they used to be. Even when they're trying to blur them in the background so that way the shelves look full, but they're not like advertising for Busy Bones. I know it's Busy Bones.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't stay away long enough to.
Why would you? Okay, I know nothing, but I got nothing to do with it is a weird follow up. Unless you got something to do with it and you need to defend yourself quickly to say that you got nothing to do with it.
Oh man,
and
being
now
in the military kind of sucks.
Jim notices.
He's gotta get him some expiation.
They took off their jackets.
Well, I mean, what did she think when she saw the feet hanging there?
Only one took off his jacket. I don't know. That's a good question.
What did he, when he's like, well, they said they'd do it, like, did they leave him out? They're like, well, we're gonna go do this and you can't come. What is a peckerwood? Was there like a deleted scene where he actually talked about it? Because someone else said the word. This guy didn't say anything at all.
I guess we'll find out when we watch the deleted scenes.
Oh, God. God, Mrs. Carmody's cool, though.
She's the power of God.
We all heard stuff. How they wanted to go then? Because there were other worlds than these? What was he supposed to do? It's never anybody's fault. He literally was in the military and just literally following orders because he's like 18 and a half years old, played by a 30-year-old. Or gun abortions.
And now the killing starts. Mrs. Carmody genuinely looks surprised that people did this, though. She's like, oh shit, okay. That was not what I expected.
She did roll with it, though.
Oh, yeah.
She's surprised it happened, and then she's just like, alright, cool.
Honestly, David, let him go, because frankly, the monsters outside are going to kill him faster than you guys would let him die. You'd make him suffer.
That does feel like an old Sprite logo. And those were bottles, but in a box. And I feel like they don't do that anymore. I want bottles from a box. This is so cruel.
He'll still probably get to die faster than if they let him bleed out inside. Because Burn Guy dies while David's asleep.
You think they at least had given him some fucking actual painkillers by that point?
I hope so.
Or did any make it back from the pharmacy? I think
Mrs.
they
Repler
did.
kept hold of that bag.
I was gonna say, I think they did because Mrs. Repler got them back. I don't think in the book they did, but I think because it was a stampede victim, it's different.
Yeah.
I cannot with that burn victim thing. Oh my god, Jim's face. I think they're also just bloodthirsty. Like, they finally get to access that part of themselves.
Well, the darkness of man is far scarier than the mist.
Or far scarier in the mist.
Because this movie is still just very The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
I thought you were gonna say it's just very man is the real monster. So now the kid is again acting not like a child. You have to give me your best promise, your very best promise, and never ever break it. The kid is supposed to be like, I think 6. 5? No 5-year-old says this. No. I could buy it of like an 8-year-old. 8
Yeah.
or 9, maybe. No 5-year-old says this way, especially under these circumstances. That the kid would just beg, don't let the monsters get me. Don't ever let the monsters get me. Promise me. Promise, Daddy. Promise. I don't want the monsters to get me. Don't let the monsters... No 5-year-old is saying this way.
Ooh, it's time to roll out. It's dawn.
I actually wonder, like, it would make more sense as like a dream sequence. Or that David thinks that's what the kid says to him or the kid wants. It makes no sense. Like, no kid says this or says this way. It actually legitimately makes me think of, like, when people would post on Twitter, and I'm sure people still post on the app formerly known as Twitter. Shit that's like, my 3-year-old said to me today, like,
Yeah.
you know, Mommy, the real monster was humans all along. And it's like, your fucking kid didn't say that to you, Brenda. Like, that shit. That's what it makes me, like, no kid is this advanced.
It's not your food, Mrs. Carmody.
Yeah, but it's stealing when more food isn't going to come to the store and everybody has to share it to survive.
I'm sorry, capitalism doesn't stop. Those drivers bringing the deliveries are still expected to make it.
You know, you're probably not wrong. The way that she's casually drinking this milk is really fucking weird. It's very Homelander.
I actually thought of The Last Jedi when Luke just randomly is like guzzling the blue milk.
That movie makes me so upset. And then people who talk shit about people who didn't like The Last Jedi. It's one thing to disagree. It's, because you and I disagree about The Last Jedi.
Yes.
And we've just had interesting discussions about it, and that's fine. There are people who legitimately shit on people who didn't like The Last Jedi, and quite frankly, fuck you. I have legitimate reasons for not liking The Last Jedi, and that is one of them. That was a blatant fandom fucking... Oh my god, that was just a blatant grab for...
Jim like, no, come at me, bro, I got 2 knives. 2 knives. How many knives have you got, David? Where's your axe now?
Are we gonna get Jim v. Myron? I can't remember. And it's like... I want to make like a meme of like where it started, where it ended, of them like best friends at the beginning, and like enemies at the end.
I still just feel like if these people want to leave this badly, kick them out then. Then you don't have these people getting in your way and getting in your business.
You know, Ollie warned her at the beginning of the movie that this would happen if she didn't knock her shit off.
And he was smart enough to double tap.
He was. He did not leave it at just shooting her in the I think he knew, like, for some reason, evil will always get back up.
Does leave him a bullet short, but he did double tap.
You know, is that what leaves them a bullet short, or does he end up shooting again?
He does shoot again, I think. But had he not shot her twice... Because I think he ends up shooting at the monster or something.
And is it him that ends up shooting it again? Or is it fucking David?
It's him.
Alright.
I don't think David fucks with the gun after he picks it up. He just picks it up.
In the dumbest way possible.
Mrs. Carmody is shot in her third eye. Well, not really. It's a little high for her third eye, but it's where everybody like visually puts the third eye.
I think a lot of people do that with the third eye because it's where a lot of people put bindies. Mm-hmm. Because I know that's why I always want to put it there, because just fashionably it feels better right there instead of directly between your eyebrows.
Ollie also the only one competent enough to find the damn truck right away. Oh, he doesn't even shoot here, so yeah, it's the double tap. Myron gets a spider. Because 9 people tried to go to the car, whereas only 8 were invited in the book, but only 7 agreed.
Ollie deserves so much better than what just happened to him.
And I'm monster, nope, down. He's like, okay, I'm good. I ate.
He ate, yeah. Got a full belly now.
Peace.
I hate everything that happens from here. I like that this guy hits every single car on his way back to the store.
Yeah.
Oh, this poor guy.
Yeah.
Kind of knew he was gonna die because he had no, like, I don't know who he is. He just kind of looks like Sam Elliott, but...
It's Cornell, which is interesting.
I'm sorry?
The character is Cornell. I think in the book he dies in the pharmacy.
Interesting. I hate this. They should quit screaming.
Right?
See, I thought he shot through the windshield or through the roof of the car. I could have swore David shot at some point, but you're right. He pretty much never does anything useful.
He was just somehow elected leader of this group, and he's a moron!
Ollie should have been the leader of the group, but halo effect meant David became leader of the group. And they decide that they can never get gas ever again. Which is why the fucking ending of the book makes so much more sense than the ending of this movie.
And they're gonna do a slow drive by the front of the store with chilling music playing.
I do kind of like this song.
But Cornell might have also been the one in the book that actually makes it back to the store, since Bud is the one who turns down the offer to go. He just stays.
Did you see the price of Pepsi? Which they have a sign for Pepsi. Because I am positive Stephen King is like a Pepsi nut.
Yeah.
I think 2 liters were 99 cents and 12 packs were $5.99 on that side. Because until COVID, those were like normal prices. That would have been expensive, remember?
I was gonna say $5.99 for a 12-pack is expensive even now. Like, barely, but...
Yeah, but maybe not in Maine. And I also might have misread it.
Oh. My wife is dead. Cool. I got a replacement wife in the car. She's already, like, taking care of my kid.
It is interesting that he actually gets to see his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And know.
Amanda looking smug back there.
Right?
She got a little bit like a curve to her mouth. It's like, are you smiling? Like, yeah, all mine now. You don't want this price, honey.
He can't, like, this dude can't emote sadness. Like, look at his face.
Distant monster roars.
And why is she outside? Like, she's only outside so you can see her.
Yeah.
It makes more sense in the book because he's worried because he knows that when it happened, she was going to be outside and gardening. He knows that she was planning to do that. But when they get there, he also knows it's not safe to try and go and see her. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't actually get to see what's come of her. He just knows logically. This is so... Because the music, the way it stops and starts again. I think it's a Key and Peele sketch that does this with this music. It's so funny. Why did he oh, because there's another car. I'm like, why is he driving so close to the school bus?
Because there's no rules anymore.
No rules, just right?
Like, it's the purge, bitches!
Let's talk about Outback Steakhouse.
And this is the scene I always remember.
It was wild realizing that this is in the book, because I didn't think that it was gonna be. God, I just can't see her as anything but Crimson Countess. I want the soundtrack of this scene to be Chimps Don't Cry.
I think that it has like parasite birds that are just like, cool.
Yeah.
We'll clean you and you'll feed us with your parasites.
Where are we going? Where are we going? Like, I know where we're headed for the ending of this, and it's not even like, oh, it's so sad that I just can't stand it. If it was a good sad and a good ending, I'd be fine with it, right?
I mean,
look at
it's sad for Mrs. Repler.
His arm hairs are like standing up. It's not though. That's what kills me. Is like they're old. Shit happens.
Yeah, but she's the only good character left.
And I'm not saying that like old people don't deserve to live. I do think like that the old character. We'll get there. We're gonna get there in just a minute. But like the ending. Yeah, Eugene Levy, it's happening. It's fucking happening. But no, like, the ending of the book was just so much better. It made so much more sense. This makes no sense. The idea that they've done all of this and they wouldn't have got gas, or they wouldn't have shown that they couldn't get gas. Like, I guess the idea is, well, if they step outside the car, monsters will get them. But they're not showing them having to outdrive monsters or anything. So that doesn't make sense. If in the book they could stay at a Hojo, that means that they can get out of the car and go into a Hojo. If he had that much gas, they've driven for hours, which means they've had to eat, they've had to piss, they've had to... So it makes no sense. And then the fact that these two old people in the back seat, not even Mrs. Repler goes, hey, you're young. I'm not going to make you shoot your own son.
Knowing David, though, he kind of felt like he had to do it because that's what makes him a man. And Stephen King is reeking with toxic masculinity. So I feel like David, the character, is structured to be that piece of shit, though.
But considering that this is not the ending that Stephen King wrote,
yeah,
regardless of him being structured that way, the way that Mrs. Repler is written, both in the book and then all through this, the way that she orders Jim around, who's meant to be that very toxic kind of dude, I just don't buy that she wouldn't either turn to the other guy, turn to Eugene Levy here, and be like, hey, you need to do this, you're the oldest man here, or she wouldn't do it and basically go, I will take my chances against these monsters. I am not going to make you and if you do have to do this, I'm going to make sure that you don't have to live with it on your soul.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, it's bad storytelling regardless.
Yeah, 100%.
But also, David's trash.
And David, in universe, David is absolutely trash. And outside of universe, this is just really bad. It is taking one line from the book where David mentally makes a decision that he never talks to the other characters about. And then whoever wrote the script, or Frank Darabont, or whoever made this decision, never bothered to explore further or explore what the other characters would say or do about it.
Scene.
I'm hoping, I'm wondering, because it makes absolutely no fucking sense. Because David does at one point go, there's only 5 bullets, but I'll figure out something for myself. Like, he has that one moment of thinking that, and it's like he hasn't talked to any. And then also, just to make it worse, they make sure that the kid wakes up, which is so fucking. Why? Because they just want you sobbing in your seat. It's like you haven't driven the emotional stakes of this up.
Look, that actor's also confused by it. He also doesn't know. She doesn't know. None of them know. Why are we doing this?
Amanda's the only one who,
This
like,
is the
gets
price of
it.
fame.
Amanda's like, we have to kill ourselves because David and I can't be together. Yeah, even the child is like, Dad? Like, there's just no way he'd be able to do it that fast either. And then his response right now is so, I can't. The screaming makes sense. The shouting. It's this. That's what drives me crazy, where he's just with the empty gun trying to shoot himself in the mouth. What the fuck, David?
If there was a god, he would have put another bullet in.
Here's my thing. His child has a small head, so why didn't he make all of them, like, line up and then just keep shooting down the row?
Because he wasn't the shooting champion of 94.
I'm just saying, they had time to think of this. He could have just done, like, his kid, Amanda, Mrs. Repler, the guy. Amanda, Mrs. Repler, the guy. Mrs. Repler, he could have just kept doing it to see if he could have got lucky enough that it went through to 2 of them. Like, they had time to talk about this and figure this out. They had so much time to talk about this and figure this out.
David doesn't talk to people about the things he thinks about.
No, he doesn't. That's a big problem with his character.
Problem.
That's why he deserves this ending.
That's why there were lights being turned off at the front of the store, but turned on at the back of the store.
I do wonder if some of the implication is that they heard something behind them. They thought that this tank was a monster coming up behind them, and he thought... But then they should have made that more clear. Like, oh, I really hate this movie.
Also, these guys aren't even worried. Like, oh, hey, man, cool. We got a truck coming. You can hop on. Oh, man, what happened here?
Yeah,
okay.
Because he also just doesn't look that upset right now. This is the best.
It is the best
thing.
part.
Because especially the look she gives him, too, of like, yeah, we made it.
Woman with children, you go.
Because so, and I hate using this comparison. So, you know Hitler. And he killed himself in his bunker. Because he's a fucking pussy. And he didn't want to be captured. He should have been captured. He shouldn't have got to kill himself, but he and all his buddies killed themselves in their bunker at the end of Europe's part of World War II. Because fuck Hitler. But when they decided to do that, it took them like a day and a half from deciding to do it to like actually implementing
now
the
they're
plan.
noticing like, hey guy, we hear you screaming over here. Do you need something, sir?
And I'm not comparing this character to... My point is more, if he had waited like an hour and just talked about it, guess what would have happened? But they didn't talk about it in the car. They didn't talk about it any further.
What's interesting is that as they're destroying the bugs and shit, they're destroying the mist. They're like making it dissipate.
Which makes you think it's coming from the, like...
So Frank Darabont's the one who wrote this for the screen.
Which means it also, he decided that dumb
he
shittery.
decided that. Woo! We made it. Yeah, she really was saying this is the price of fame.
The Weinsteins.
I had a feeling.
There was Weinsteins involved.
Yeah.
I feel a little less bad about what I was talking about there at the end, because fuck the Weinsteins.
Oh, yeah.
My point was just, don't do, like, suicide takes longer than, like, 5 minutes to fucking decide. They didn't even take 5 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna get back to the special features here. And we're gonna watch some deleted scenes, because this disc has deleted scenes. I might have to swap discs, I'm not sure. Deleted and extended scenes. Ooh. I'm just playing all. So if you got the disc, just play them all with commentary off.
I don't... Oh my god.
Here we go. We do get to see her being outside. Oh, yes, she's not outside. She's on their, like, enclosed patio.
We only saw her outside. We only saw...
No, I more meant, like, explaining why she was outside of the house.
Oh, okay.
Because you were talking about that.
Oh, are we gonna see him creeping on her boobies?
Maybe.
Brent, I was really so sorry to hear about Carla. We all are.
Oh, we get the context of her as dead wife.
Is it
I'm sure that
his dead wife who's actually his husband?
Hey, Daddy. Oh, you know that some ice too that they still have actually in the
Oh. Are we going to talk about the mist?
Saw it coming over the mountain this morning. Now it's halfway across the lake.
Why is that weird?
Holy Virgin Lake.
You guys go ahead. Just have fun.
Really, we should have inverted who was going to the store here. There are downed trees and shit, maybe, that
See, bud.
fucking...
That what, sexist?
I was more saying that the fucking brain that David Drayton says... No, he never would have let his wife do that shit because it would prove he's not manly. Because that's my point. But I am taking the book into play where he is... I hate knowing what that man thinks.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And that's fine. I mean, you can't help your internalized misogyny.
What are those tentacles even attached to?
What?
You're not my mommy!
In the fuck? Oh, yeah, go sit with the worst person in this movie. She's the worst.
I realized that this was an extended scene towards the front, but I really wish there was more, like, change in the middle because having to sit through that scene again sucks.
We just watched this movie.
Like, why is this still going? Either give me extra content or, like, you should have, like, cut this off and just shown me whatever thing you're adding towards the end. And there damn well better be something added towards the end, and there wasn't!
No, they just had to explain that David is kind of an out-of-towner, and that's why they treat him that way. He's like half an out-of-towner, and actually that does explain a lot, because they did explain that in the book, but they don't ever go into that in the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that he was an out-of-towner in the book. I thought that his dad was from there, and he was from there and everything.
Yep. That was the big deal.
And so I think they cut that in the movie, because he's not in it.
So that must be why Bud agrees to go.
Because he couldn't order around his teenager. Oh, is this more Mrs. Carmody?
Mm-hmm.
Little Nori?
I can show you where it's written.
I would really appreciate it if she'd show me where it's written, because I don't remember that. I don't remember anything in Revelations being about the mist.
We all saw it.
Oh, do we get to see the beginning of her prayer, of her lighting her candle on the toilet?
This is a pretty fancy candle.
Yeah, she's in a store. She can get all the candles she wants.
That's a good point. Oh, she is scared. I wonder if she was being eavesdropped on. I wonder if they worried this was gonna make her too sympathetic, and that's why they cut it. This is interesting. I like this. I feel like this should have been in the movie. There's so many things we could have cut to have the longer Mrs. Carmody scene. But yet again, I'm in the position of justice for Annie Wilkes, justice for Mrs. Carmody.
Hello?
Maybe I need to just be like a old religious, like, I was gonna say woman, but I don't think I can go back. Like, I'm pretty happy the way that I am.
What?
Could you even imagine? That wasn't better.
No.
That part was good cut.
Supposed event.
The 4 horsemen of hell.
Of the remainder, 2 are hopelessly inebriated. Not yet. Working on it.
4. Guess that makes me a flat-out liar.
I find that easier to believe than technical.
You saw that man run to the car. You heard him scream.
No. I heard a man panicking, and I saw a woman walk out of those doors. Untouched.
Mr. Norton,
That's a good point.
why don't you go out that door around the back? Bottles me and Norm put out this morning. Will you bring back 1 bottle, even 1? I'll take this shirt off and eat it.
Look, maybe you do believe this. Maybe they're not lies. They're delusions. Whatever. The fact remains, the evidence here is 50. It's bordering on the. Hey, this isn't a courtroom.
These scenes have not been...
There's a reason they were cut.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're getting through them quickly.
Thank God.
Though that scene, I can see why they cut it as well, because he mentioned that she strolled out untouched. They knew that she got out just fine.
Yeah.
That lady, like, him seeing her at the end shouldn't have surprised him. She got out just fine.
Yeah.
And the fact that her hair is short, and I mentioned that, like, I was asking about the cancer thing, it would mean she couldn't have kids anymore. Which could have something to do with that whole, they're looking for, like, the people who are, like, fertile or something. And why the
I
mom...
mentioned her husband in this one.
Which is a weird, like, why is that so important? It's killing me so much, I'm gonna go fuck Amanda. Mrs. Carmody.
Strolling by. See, Billy, I'm your new mommy now.
Oh, but yeah, like, they don't go for Billy, who would be the easy kid. Like, none of the kids get hurt. That lady doesn't get hurt. Like, she makes it to her kids and gets her kids out. They're all fine. But because I can't remember, for some reason I keep thinking Steph was pregnant. But even if she wasn't, their kid is young enough that she's of childbearing age. Sally obviously is young enough to have a kid, but Mrs. Carmody lands on her womb and then doesn't give a shit about her. And she, I think, is supposed to be presented as like a spinster type.
Oh, hey, like, you get your fight. You just get it in deleted scenes. Expiation is sexy now.
I mean, it wasn't not before. Maybe there's a deleted scene and he does talk about Arrowhead Project more, because now we're seeing even more of this dude. But no, I could see that being a Stephen King thing. Like the whole fertility thing, because he was kind of really into that in the early 80s.
Yeah. We'll shoot you. We'll waste a bullet on your leg to make you talk. David, you're an idiot.
And then what they make that kid do gets him killed. Oh, I think that was the last one. So no, we find out absolutely nothing extra.
Woo! Okay, so that was The Mist.
And all of the extra scenes of The Mist. I still absolutely hate this movie.
Yeah, this movie is not good.
There's commentary, apparently. I can't.
I've seen 3.
Oh, the scene where everybody's losing their minds. These are really interesting features.
Webisodes? Is it just the spiders, maybe?
No, I wonder if it's making ofs or I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
Day 10 earthquake. What? If these end up being content, oh, it's oh, that's what must shake all the shit off the shelves.
That guy's job is to shake things.
Incredible. Yeah, I don't need this.
Like, what, you don't want to meet all the shakers?
You know, maybe someday. But one thing I don't need for a thing that I hate is making ups. I'd be a lot more likely to ever watch, like, commentary, I guess, on this.
Oh, I want to see what the original theatrical trailer was like.
Fair enough.
What enticed people to see this fucking movie? Myself included. Well, actually, probably more my dad.
Yeah, I think what enticed your dad to see it was that it was a movie that was in the theaters.
We are experiencing some kind of disaster.
Captain Holt was like first in the trailer.
I do remember this trailer.
I kind of do too. Oh my god.
This trailer really just kind of is the movie so far. Like, you don't even need the scenes in between.
Remember being young? Like, Jesus, you weren't kidding. It really is just the whole movie.
We didn't need to watch it. We could have just watched the trailer.
Don't say that. We just watched the whole thing. Don't say, oh my god, it even had Norm with the... Oh. But if you haven't seen it, you don't know that the trailer is the whole movie.
And I mean, technically, you don't know about the bad ending. Because it really doesn't spoil that bit. But it was just the movie.
Well, guys, that was The Mist.
That was The Mist. I'm sorry.
You should be. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for existing right now.
Well,
That was the end of our podcast.
The Mist will not be the end of our podcast. We have to go out on a better note than that.
Oh, man. Don't drag me back to a mic ever. Yeah, we'll see you another time. Like, it has been pretty good.
Goodbye.
I love you, bye.